I would like to just go ahead and tell you this is really our second update. We had a meeting last Tuesday. I thought we did a really good job concerning this issue with the EDC and the range in having a good discussion where we said it very frankly. We let all points be known. We shared our concerns. We kind of shared a little bit of the history, kind of gave a good recap on what had taken place. We have gone through a week, and it appears to me like we are not reporting and maybe messaging the facts as much as I think we can. And so I want to take an opportunity here today to just continue to speak to you. I also know that this is going to take a minute. So we're not going to have an answer here today for you. We're not going to have an answer for you next week. So next Tuesday, we'll take another opportunity to give you another update, tell you how we're coming on the financial review. And then I hope by next Tuesday we would be in a position where we would either be in possession of that data that we're waiting on or close enough to it where we could give you maybe a projected expectation of this is where we hope to end up before long. This is a fairly sensitive issue. All economic development can be controversial. It all has that same flavor, and you have to manage it very well. And the only way to really manage any of it, I think, in any population of any size, is to be totally upfront and transparent. And so I believe our EDC has had some business practices, and they move pretty fast. And some of the business practices they've had have come to light here on this one issue. We are talking about the range. We're not necessarily going to walk around anything or try to tiptoe around any of the subject matter. I think we're just going to speak to it as best we can. And then let you know, in the way in which this is a sensitive issue, we want to be as upfront and we want to be as proactive as we can be, understanding that if we were dealing with a department, if we were dealing with something that we had more control over inside of the City Hall, it allows for different procedures because we are in this issue where we have a procurement issue. So to go back, we had a $100,000 line item budget that was given to the council when I sat on it as place one. We voted for that. That item was then changed from $100,000 to $250,000. And then it was advanced for 3 years up front. So it ended up at $750,000. So that's an unlawful action in the way in which that's not proper procurement. So hear me say this again, that's not an illegal action. That's an unlawful action. You have to follow certain guidelines, specifically 501.073. This body that we sit on right now must approve the expenditures. Well, you can approve expenditures with a budget, and you can have line items on a budget and you can approve them for the full year. They don't come back to council. Or you can have expenditures that are approved individually. This item was approved for $100,000. It was not approved for $750,000. We are compelled legally under the law to have proper oversight of that measure. Now, I think what has been communicated in the public is that this council somehow is going backwards. We're okay with it. It's nothing we're going to hold to account. We just wanted to come out, maybe change a few governance and ends policies, maybe put a new policy in so it doesn't happen again. No, hear us say, we haven't taken a step back. We haven't backed up from it. What we said is good leadership requires all of the data. It requires a complete understanding of what's happened. And so we don't have the data. We as a council came together and decided it would be very beneficial if we had a 3-year look back to get the entire financial review so we can identify, do we have a one-time issue where, hey, we had an unlawful issuance of an expenditure, but it only happened once? Or do we have a business practice? Do we have a practice of doing business that allows for this over and over? Because if it does, then I'm going to tell you, we went from having a large problem to having a huge issue. And so with that, we're going to have to take different measures in correcting that. This council is full, well, willing, and able to hold our board, our AEDC board, and their actions to full account. We're going to hold them to the same account that we're holding ourselves to. So I just want you guys to know we're not giving a measure that's one-sided or this way inside, that way outside. It's the account that I hold myself to. I would not do this. I would not advance $750,000 without the consent of my council and without a proper vote. My community doesn't allow for us to operate this way, and they need to see that we're willing to stand on that transparency and that fact and that truth. So we want to set the record straight here today and make sure that you guys understand the one thing that you're not giving us is time. And so I've heard everything from, disappointment. This council is no better than the rest of the governments that we can't believe in. We've lost trust. We've lost faith. We've lost confidence. Based on what? 2 weeks of us having an issue that we've actually been able to come together and properly discuss, based on us wanting to take the steps that we need to make sure that we don't overcorrect and that we don't assume something that we don't know. So time is something that it takes in order to walk this out. It doesn't mean that we're not willing to walk it out with integrity. It just means that we want to get the financial review so we can see everything we're dealing with before we look at a public discussion in front of you all and with our public again of what's the right measure of correctness here or correction. And so with this, nobody's saying this isn't a large issue. Nobody's saying this is okay. Nobody's saying that we should look the other way. We are saying, let us go do the work. And quite frankly, many of my critics out there, they're not the ones doing the work. So we're the only ones doing the work. We are the ones, this servant body up here, we are taking our time to ask these questions, to go and get the data, to put it on a spreadsheet, to bring everything to light, to organize it, and to try to lead in a professional way so that when we deliver it to you, it doesn't leave anything up for chance or for doubt where you guys don't understand maybe, oh, that's what happened. This is the right, next step. So I want to tell you just a little bit about the status. So Neil Gerber is our internal auditor. He started on this well over a week ago. He has compiled the numbers for year 24, for year 23. He's working for year 22. He thinks he'll have a preliminary compilation of all of those, all of that data within another 7 to 10 days. And so what he won't have is he won't have all the supporting documents. He'll probably need a few weeks after that to actually complete his task. However, this council needs this data sooner rather than later so that we can start evaluating it. It's going to come to us in the form of a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet's going to say, here's the check number or the wire transfer number, here's the date, here's the vendor that it went to, here's the amount that it went to, here is where it was budgeted. And for the amount, it was approved, yes, or it was not approved, no. Here's where it wasn't budgeted. You'll see a 0 in that column. And then here's the contact person for where that money went. So here's who we're transacting with in our community. A spreadsheet that comes together like that's very, very helpful. It allows us an opportunity to review it. And then what we are trying to do is we're trying to have good policies moving forward, but we're willing to go backwards and to take a corrective action if needed. And so we don't know the level of that correction yet, so that's why we are being a little cautious in not wheeling everybody out here and making an assumption that we know everything. We don't yet. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your cooperation. I do appreciate your understanding in this is a difficult job. This is not something that we were prepared to handle. We are trying to do it with integrity and in a professional way. And all we're really asking for is just a little time. And then I just want everybody to hear us say again, like we didn't step back. We didn't take no correction. We did not say that everything that has been done was agreed upon and done in the proper steps. What I did hear one media outlet say is that we agreed that this was legal. Hear me say it was an unlawful procurement, though it was not illegal. So there is some terminology there that we need to make sure we're very specific on. I don't have a whole lot to offer outside of that. We'll have those numbers hopefully next week. We'll have some start on that, and within 2 to 3 weeks, I think we'll have a conclusion on this. I am going to get out in front of this and continue to speak, continue to answer questions. We will continue to do follow-ups with each media outlet so that you guys can report accurately. And I want to represent the council well because the council represents you. And so we all want Amarillo to be represented in the form and the fashion that it is. And, we take our time, we do things right, we hold each other accountable here, and that's what we're saying.